Welcome to the monthly current affairs have been put up here. So for the month of June 2016, the current affairs full compilation has also been put up here. So this is the full news PDF. You can download it. We have already discussed it in first two parts. The third part, bilateral and international, will be covered up and the full June current affairs will conclude here. So the first bilateral India-USA, what is being put forth here is the two nations cooperating. So this was still when Barack Obama was the president of USA. So we were the cooperation is going on global concerns like nuclear security, climate change and terrorism. So of course on nuclear reactors also, 6 nuclear reactors proposed in India, Westinghouse. We have already seen Westinghouse presently in March 2017. Now it has filed for bankruptcy. So still they say we are going to go ahead with the 6 nuclear reactors, but then there are viewpoints that it should not be gone ahead with by India now because the company is bankrupt. Then next is in India-EU relations. India-EU aim to break free trade agreement impasse. So the free trade agreement is being negotiated, that is stuck. Plus India has also put on hold the new bilateral investment treaties. So new BITs will be renegotiation is required because India does not want international arbitration in case of foreign investments. So that is also there, means foreign investors should not drag India to international courts. So then they demand huge compensation for losses they suffer due to changes in government policies. So this is the main concern of India, and EU's demands from India are that it should drastically cut or eliminate duties on automobiles and wines and spirits. So these are two areas in which EU wants market access in India and it wants duties to be reduced. And also India's main demand is also another aspect is on data security status. So it wants EU to give India data secure status, means then India's IT sector can do business with EU firms if it is given this status. So this has not been provided to India yet, and also it wants easier temporary movement of skilled professionals in Europe. So these are two demands from India and the demand from EU. So this India-EU FTA negotiation is stuck for long. So it's called BTIA, Broad-Based Trade and Investment Agreement, which India and EU are negotiating. Then next in India-China relations, India's NIIT to train 50,000 China students on big data. So big data, what is it? We should know. It refers to the massive accumulation of information siphoned from multiple sources and domains. So from a large number of sources, domains, when large amount of information comes up, then it has to be analyzed to make informed decisions. So this data is called big data. What is its potential? It can be analyzed, and it can be analyzed through electronic means. Humanly it's impossible. So that is the big data which presently is generated, and it helps in taking informed decisions. We have used it also in the economic survey. So from the tickets been taken from Indian Railways data, we have also found about migration. So that has been a complete data has been put forth by the economic survey in the present financial year. So that is what big data is all about. Then next is to mollify China, India eases curbs on conference visas. So this is a conference visa which will be provided now. So this has been done by India because China has been opposing India in NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. We want membership of NSG, and that can take place when all the nations members of NSG agree to it. So it can happen only through consensus, and China is a member here, and China does not support. There are other nations also which don't. So we are trying to pacify China. So this is a provision put forth now that we have removed conference visas for Chinese participants from prior referral category now. Also electronic tourist visa on arrival facility is already there for Chinese. So that is also there. So earlier it was said that China had been bracketed with countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan and Iraq. So foreigners of Pakistani origin and stateless person, they are under restricted category. They require prior security clearance from the intelligence agencies for obtaining a visa. So now for Chinese conference visas, this will no longer be required. So that is what India has done now. So this is reference category list which is put forth. Only conference visas that are provided for government organized seminars and workshops have been removed. So this is a clarification too. Iran was already there but already removed from prior reference category in 2015. Then next is India-Japan relations. India-Japan nuclear deal stuck on technical details. So India-Japan civil nuclear deal, even today we know it is still stuck because of in Japan, it has been cleared by the executive in Japan, but in Japan Diet, the parliament of Japan is under under a different scenario now because of the school scandal, as it is called in Japan, in which the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, is indicted. So they are discussing that. So that is why the India-Japan nuclear deal is not being passed. So that is right now here what is being discussed is that it will have to wait now because it needs legislative approval. So we have not yet been able to convince the Diet. So that Diet means executive has still been convinced. So because Japan is one country which is very concerned because nuclear energy should only be used for peaceful purposes. It's the only country in the world which has suffered from a nuclear attack. So that is there. So this you can see India-Japan nuclear deal was signed in November 2016 already. So executive has already signed it now. So this is June news. So India and Japan have been negotiating the purchase of 12 Shin-Maeva built US-2 amphibious aircraft since 2014, but they are held up due to technology transfer issues. So even US-based these components, even in nuclear reactors for that matter too, the Westinghouse nuclear reactors will also not be can be established unless and until India-Japan nuclear deal is passed. Because even in Westinghouse nuclear reactors, critical components of these reactors would come from Japan. And as long as India-Japan nuclear deal is not there, Japan would not allow such dealings by Westinghouse taking place. So that would not be legal too. So that is also there. Then next, India-Afghanistan relations. PM to inaugurate Friendship Dam. This has already been inaugurated. Afghan-India Friendship Dam. This is the name given to it. It was earlier called Salma Dam. So this name was changed in 2015. It will be used for irrigation. 75,000 hectares of farmland in arid parts of western Afghanistan will be irrigated now through this dam. Then India-Qatar relations. So India and Qatar agree to share data on terror financing and Hawala transactions. So this agreement has been signed between the two countries. So all illegal movement of money, which is termed as Hawala, or intelligence on this would be shared between the two nations now. So this is exchange of financial intelligence. So this will help in combating terror financing also and other economic offenses as well. Then another is a pact on infrastructure investment has been signed. So this is an MOU signed between the two nations for investment in NIIF, National Investment in Infrastructure Fund, which has been established by India. So here also Qatar investment is expected now. Cooperation and investment has not come forth yet. That also is there. Cooperation and investment in areas of skill development, education, health, tourism, sports. These agreements have also been there. Also an agreement on tourism has come forth. So there will be many. Then other nations with Maldives. Maldives opposition forms shadow government in London, seeks help from India. So former Maldives President Mohammad Nasheed. So he has formed a new multi-party opposition platform in London and he's fighting for the restoration of democracy in Maldives. So in 2012, in a military coup, Mohammad Nasheed was forced to resign and he's now taken in exile. He is in London presently. So that is there. Also, India-Maldives relations are strong. That is why India has been appealed now that they should come forth to help Maldives democracy being restored. Presently, it is Abdullah Yameen who is the president of Maldives. So there is growing economic closeness, economic footprint of China in Maldives presently. And Mohammad Nasheed says that Mr. Yameen is encouraging China to counter India's influence in the Indian Ocean region now. So, and with that justification, India has been called to help Mohammad Nasheed. So, India has very close relations with Maldives, and we all have also discussed Operation Cactus once or twice, so under which the attack, a coup attempt in Maldives was stalled by India when the president there called for India's help. So, that was the case, but this has already taken place. Presently, the president is Mr. Yameen. And that was a coup by a terrorist or a separatist organization. So, a Tamil separatist organization. Then next is, we are working with India to ensure security in Indian Ocean, Seychelles. So, this Seychelles is again a nation in the Indian Ocean region. This Assumption Island is to jointly develop a naval base by India and Seychelles. So that is being proposed now, that in this region a naval base should be jointly established. So China's announcement that it would build its first African naval base in Djibouti has already taken place. So India is also helping Seychelles in patrolling the Indian Ocean. Also tourism is an important sector in which the two nations cooperate, and this is an important source for Seychelles. Also many Indians go up here, so it's an Indian Ocean island nation, it's an archipelago. So India's close relations are there here. So now we are working on security here. So a naval base may also be started in Assumption Island in Seychelles now by India. Then next is India rejects charge on institute's ties with North Korea. So the UN panel of experts that deals with UN sanctions on North Korea has made references in its report that North Korea's participation in courses in this Dehradun-based Center for Space Science and Technology Education in Asia and Pacific has implications for its nuclear activities, North Korean nuclear activities. So the Indian government has responded to this by saying that this report is subjective and based on limited understanding of the experts who have authored it. So we are rejecting this report, but that's what the news is. Then India-Africa relations. The first news item here is Africa reaches out to Indian states. So South Africa was the first country from African continent which began state-centric approach. So it is having cooperations with Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra state in India. Now Tunisia has also initiated strong relations are there with Gujarat and southern Indian states. So such initiatives are also being taken from Africa now. So almost 30,000 African students study in educational hotspots, and presently this is more important in the context of attacks on African students, which we have seen, the Noida Ansal Plaza attack on African students. So you can see educational hotspots are also there in Maharashtra, Punjab and smaller towns of Karnataka. So in Bengaluru also incidents have taken place against Africans earlier, such alleged racial attacks only. So that is there. Then India eyes uranium from Africa. So on the sidelines of its campaign for membership to NSG, India is also likely to ask African nations to relax their commitment. So that aspect, NSG aspect is different. This is the African nations who are committed to the Pelindaba Treaty. So this treaty controls supply of uranium from key mineral hubs of Africa to the rest of the world. So this is a treaty signed in 1996, also known as African Nuclear Weapons Zone Free Treaty. So this is to prevent nuclear proliferation and prevent strategic minerals of Africa from being exported freely. So India and Namibia have already signed MOUs. So one is on mineral resources and another on peaceful use of nuclear energy. So Namibia is also a member of this Pelindaba Treaty. So that has prevented it from ratifying the agreements as such. So Namibia is the fourth largest producer of uranium as well. Next is on India-Ghana relations. So bilateral agreements have been signed here too, like for visa waiver for holders of diplomatic and official passports. So India is the largest foreign investor in Ghana as well. And you should know about India-Africa Forum Summits which are held. So the third India-Africa Forum Summit was held in New Delhi in October 2015. Then next, regarding Namibia, so it says it is determined to order this uranium supply pact. So the 2009 pact which has been signed with Namibia, between Namibia and India. So New Delhi, Namibia has also asked New Delhi to enter into similar agreements with other countries also, so that these member countries can be convinced that the Pelindaba Treaty, which is also called African Nuclear Weapon Free Zone Treaty, which bars them from supplying uranium to India because it is not a signatory of NPT, this aspect can be overcome. So that's what it says, that we are committed, but this Pelindaba Treaty is a hindrance in this matter. So India has so far signed civil nuclear cooperation agreements with 12 countries, including USA, Russia, Korea and Japan. So in Japan, it has to be ratified by the Diet too now. Then next is India seeks help of Friends for Nuclear Supplier Group entry. So NSG is one issue. We are trying to get its membership. So there was an extraordinary plenary meet that NSG was going to host. It hosted in Vienna in Austria in Europe. So Beijing had announced that it sought membership of NPT as a precondition for any new membership of NSG. So India has opposed nuclear non-proliferation treaty because it is discriminatory. It categorizes nations as nuclear weapon states and non-nuclear weapon states, and only 5 nations are recognized as nuclear weapon states, the 5 permanent members, and they are allowed to have nuclear technology, nuclear weapons, but others are not. So that is the discrimination which is there in this NPT treaty, and India is not recognized as a nuclear weapon state, though it has nuclear weapons now. So that is why we are not ready to sign this treaty. So NSG has already exempted India once in 2008. So this NSG exemption was brought because of US intervention. So India-US Civil Nuclear Agreement was signed in 2008. So the energy needs of India were understood because military and civil reactors were separated after this India-US Civil Nuclear Agreement in 2008 under IAEA supervision, International Atomic Energy Agency. Then next is Swiss backs India's bid for an NSG membership. So we are trying to convince nations. So Switzerland has agreed, it is backing India. So also we are strengthening cooperation in combating tax evasion and black money with Switzerland, because Switzerland again is a tax haven. But for NSG, we have to convince all the 48 members, and including China, so that we get its membership. Then another is Mexico, Italy. They have also said that they're backing India. So these are also there. So India's chances to receive a boost from Mexico, which is considered a non-proliferation hardliner so far, is good, that Mexico has also been convinced. So NSG, that's what it requires, consensus, not simple majority, means all 48 nations should agree. So another is Italy. Earlier it had blocked India's membership because of the Marines issue. The Italian Marines who were arrested in India because they had killed an Indian fisherman, considering that he was not a fisherman but some pirate as such. So this as such now, because of this Marines issue, Italy was blocking. Now with this being relaxed, the Marines have been allowed to go back to Italy with their families while the case is going on. So Italy has now come to terms. So it is also supporting India. Then India, Pakistan, North Korea and Israel. These are 4 countries majorly which have not signed NPT because it is discriminatory, and they already have nuclear weapons, but they will not be recognized as nuclear weapon states under Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. Then next is India expects domino effect on support. So Pakistan's application for membership has also been taken up now at NSG. So that's what China is doing. It is endorsing Pakistan also. If India becomes a member, then Pakistan should also become a member of NSG. But what India says is Pakistan has a poor record in nuclear proliferation. So nuclear technology, nuclear weapon technology has been proliferated, spread by Pakistan, and it is the one which has also brought that technology to, it is alleged, to Iran also, to North Korea also. So that is why it should not be supported as, as it does not have a clean record and history. So that is there. And also it says, and it has not brought its facilities under IAEA safeguards also, which India has done after separating civil and military reactors. Then next is Modi seeks Moscow route to China for energy entry. So Russia has always been supportive of India's energy aspirations. So we are trying to convince Russia and through them China. But it says that Modi may be hopeful of more because Russia has influence on other countries like Kazakhstan and Turkey. So they are yet not convinced to back India. So through Russia, these countries can also be brought to terms with India's energy membership, and also China's support can be sought. At least the tough stand which China has taken can be relaxed. Then NSG divided on entry of non-NPT nations, China. So that's what China is saying, that those who are not signatory to NPTs, for them NSG membership is being questioned now by China, that they should not become. So that's what China says, that it should be a precondition. NPT should be a precondition. But US is pushing for India's NSG membership. It's still nothing has been resolved. We still know it's going on. So let's see what had happened further now. Another is like countries like Brazil and Turkey call for criteria-based process to be put in place first, and other countries like Austria, Ireland, New Zealand and Switzerland are raising the NPT question. So Switzerland we have already got on our side. So there are at least 32 countries that have made positive intervention on India's behalf, but we want consensus, means all 48 should agree. So That is the whole thing. Then another is India to join Missile Treaty Club, which we have already joined. This is MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. So this India's membership has been achieved now. It is a 34 nation grouping, and here China is not a member. So this is a grouping which limits proliferation of missile and missile technology. So what it says is that if there is a missile, at least 500 kg or up to a range of at least 300 kilometers. So these, in this, if there is a treaty, there's a trading being done, then there is restrictions put on them. So Italy had earlier blocked it because of the Marines issue again. So now Italy has withdrawn its objections, because of which MTCR membership has been achieved by India. So this is one of the 4 nuclear regimes to which we want membership: MTCR, NSG, Australia Group, and Wassenaar Group. So these are the 4 nuclear regimes, means they regulate nuclear trade. So that is there. So you can see this, it places restrictions on this missiles, missile and missile technology proliferation. Then next is, don't make binding concessions for APEC. So Commerce Ministry has cautioned the External Affairs Ministry against ceding to demands that India offers binding concessions to secure APEC membership. So we want Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation membership, and this 21 member grouping includes includes USA, China, Japan. It accounts for half of the world's trade and almost 60% of the world's GDP. So APEC's objective is ensuring that goods, services, investment, and people can move freely across the borders in Asia Pacific region. So binding concessions should not be made here. That's what the Commerce Ministry is saying. So India has applied for APEC membership. It first time applied in 1991. So on the basis of its geographical location, that it is in Asia Pacific region, Asia at least. So its potential size of the economy and the degree of trade interactions which it has with Asia Pacific region, it applied for this membership. But APEC had put a moratorium on new members. So that has also ended now. So again, India is trying to acquire APEC membership. APEC structure allows its members freedom to set their own goals and timelines, as well as undertake action on a voluntary and non-binding basis in areas identified for cooperation. So India should not make any binding commitments, is a suggestion coming forth. The next is, India warned against pitfalls in ASEAN trade agreement. So this is regarding RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. So this is a regional trade agreement among the 10 ASEAN nations and its 6 free trade agreement partners. So 6 partners of ASEAN, which are Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, and South Korea. So ASEAN plus 3 means China, Japan, and South Korea, and plus 6 includes also Australia, New Zealand, and India. So all 6 together with ASEAN 10 means 16 nations involved here. This RCEP is being negotiated. So there are 2 aspects. 2 of the most worrying aspects here are demands for data exclusivity and patent term extensions. So both are intellectual property obligations that least developing countries have been exempted from till 2033. So data exclusivity means that after patent term is over too, then also data exclusivity is sought. Means whatever data is there of these clinical trials which are conducted by them, so they can be exclusively used by them only. It cannot be used by generic drug manufacturers, because these clinical trial data is on the basis of which these generic drug manufacturers are also able to produce generic medicines. Otherwise they have to conduct their tests, and that is the major cost, proving its efficacy and everything. But they do only the test, only this data is ensured that they can use it. They only have to prove that it is bioequivalent. So bioequivalence is proved, then it need not have clinical trials done. But now data exclusivity demand will make generics functioning difficult. So that is like extension of patent actually. So these demands are being made, which India is not ready for. So exclusivity lasts over the clinical trial data. So this is what I spoke of. The next is, India has to complete a long process for SCO membership. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization, its annual summit in June 2016 took place in Tashkent. So India will become a member now next year. So that is expected. So India and Pakistan both have been accepted as members in Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So next year it would be finalized now in 2017 summit. Then India joins the Hague Code of Conduct. So this is strengthening worldwide attempt to contain the spread of ballistic missiles. India has joined this Hague Code of Conduct against ballistic missile proliferation. So this is a voluntary, legally non-binding multilateral body which prevents the spread of ballistic missiles that can deliver weapons of mass destruction. So India has also joined this. So this is important. Then in international news, Britain casts a dark shadow over Europe. So this we already know, Brexit. So this, I suppose you know about it. UK voted to leave EU. It was a referendum held in June. So leave side vote was 52%. So this was a second referendum. The first was on in 1975. In that time also it was asked whether UK should stay or leave EEC, European Economic Community. So at that time also they had voted, that time actually they had voted yes. 67.2 people said no, yes, we should stay, not leave. But right now it is leave with 52% vote. Turnout was also good. It was highest in any election since 1992, turnout of 72%. But some regions voted to stay, that were London, Scotland, Northern Ireland. So they voted to stay. All other regions voted to leave. The next is Colombia FARC rebel against historic ceasefire. So this is the ceasefire which has been signed between the Colombian government and FARC rebels. So this, on the basis of this, even Colombian head also got the Nobel Peace Prize. So this is half a century conflict which has finally been resolved now through this deal, which had been put on referendum actually, and the referendum rejected it. So now renegotiation took place on this deal. So this is FARC, Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. So they must hand over its weapons to UN monitors within 6 months. So that is also provision under this deal. So this conflict started in 1960s as a rural uprising for land rights. Then it became the communist FARC, then became a leftist rebel group, and then paramilitaries were formed. Even drug gangs were formed by them. So then it resulted in huge displacement and killings as such by this grouping. Finally, they have laid down arms. Next is Germany irks Turkey over genocide. So Germany has passed a resolution which recognizes First World War massacre of Armenians by Ottoman Turkey as a genocide. Genocide means targeting a particular caste or community. So this is what it says, that genocide of Armenians and other Christian minorities took place in 1915 and 1916. So this resolution has angered Turkey. So it also, Germany was an ally of Turkey. So it also puts partial blame on German Empire then too, because it was an ally of Ottomans and it failed to prevent these atrocities. So Germany and EU are relying on Turkey to help them stall the influx of migrants in the country. So Germany having good relations with Turkey is also important. But this resolution has been signed, you can see. So UN Convention on Genocide of 1948, it defines genocide as intended to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial or religious group. Turkey on its part says that it was Young Turks, this grouping formed in 1908, which is responsible for this. So Ottoman leaders were put on trial and a local governor, Muhammad Kemal, was found guilty and hanged too. So this took place as a response. So Turkey says even Turkish nationals were killed in this. So that's what Turkey, capital Ankara, they argue that it was a collective tragedy in which both Turks and Armenians died. Then the last news item is 41 people still in intensive care, says Turkey Health Minister. So this is the suicide attack which took place at Atatürk Airport in Turkey. So government has blamed Islamic State terrorists against this, Kurdish and Islamic State militants who had conducted this act of violence. So that is it. Thank you. This is June news getting over.